Fortnite's The Apocalypse chapter 168 is out, and oh my god, this one was a doozy. A lot happened that I really did enjoy, and just took me completely off guard. Obviously, the thumbnail probably gives you an idea, but either way, this chapter was awesome, and we got the conclusion to Percival versus Gareth, with some really interesting stuff in here. But before we jump into things, don't forget to like and subscribe and hit the notification bell for updates on my future videos, as it shows you enjoy what I do here on the channel and shows you want to see more. Yes, I'm back to the avatar after a month of face cam. I'm switching back and forth, and I just don't feel like being on camera today, so I hope that's alright with you guys. But anyway, let's head straight into the chapter. Chapter 168 of Four Knights of the Apocalypse, titled The Twin Swordsmen. Starting directly from last week, where Percival is shown up as there are two Gareths seemingly in the arena, as this surprises everybody, even the announcer. But not Beltrop, as he says, that is the lad's fearsome hidden power, the power that let him reach the final last time. Confirming that in the last tournament, Gareth managed to make it to the final round, but he didn't win, because obviously if he won, then he wouldn't be there, obviously, and he wants to get out, so my money is still unbalanced, still being the person that won the whole thing last time. But seeing these two side by side, you can definitely tell the difference in personality with their facial expressions, with Gareth being very serious, and this other Gareth having a bit more of a cocky attitude, similar to how we saw Gareth at the beginning of the previous preliminary rounds. And this hits Percival on the head. He's like, oh, so this is why you were able to travel so quickly and how you didn't remember Edlin or him at all. But he's wondering how this works. Donnie and some other people in the crowd are looking like, hey, you gotta disqualify him. That's gotta be against the rules. It's supposed to be one-on-one. Even with the crowd worked up, Beltrop is just laughing this off, as he states this is not illegal. At its core, it remains a one-on-one duel. As this is said, Percival's like, wait, what does this mean? As Gareth and the other Gareth begin to try and launch attacks on Percival with a pincer assault. But instead, when Percival tries to counter the other Gareth, his leg passes right through him, which prompts Percival to block with his energy sword on his hand. And it's like, something's definitely weird with this sword that he's got. As this other Gareth states, you've got some odd magic too, don't you? You blocked my blade yesterday even. My blade should go through any weapon, no matter how well honed or magical. Obviously, the fact that Percival is able to block this definitely shows the fact that his magic, that being that of a life spirit and powered by hope, is definitely incredibly stronger than most magical defenses and magical attacks. So yeah, this is definitely something that will get explained for what's going on with this other Gareth and the sword, which I'm excited to get into. Anna and Donnie are wondering what's going on, who is this guy? But Beltrop, all he says is, there you have it. As the announcer says, a stunning development. The other Gareth you see is a ghost. Yes, it is Darth, the twin brother of Gareth, who died when they were both very young. As I like the singular page of Darth, and the fact that we actually get to see through Darth, showcasing 100% that Darth is a ghost. Now, I did say that potentially the magical ability of Gareth was maybe he had two souls, maybe he had split personality, and he's able to personify that and have it fight with him. And while I was wrong, I was a little close, so I'll give myself a little bit of a W. And I forgot who said in the previous comments. I believe someone said this exact thing that's happening right now in the previous comments. But as everyone's wondering what's going on, that it's a ghost, and Edlin even like, oh, so that's how he was able to bypass Hauser's tornado in the first place. We get the explanation that Gareth's magical ability is called Conjuration, which summons and controls his ghost brother. So he's literally able to summon the ghost of his twin brother whenever he wants, thus allowing his brother to fight alongside him as a ghost. And by having two people, obviously since they're twins, it will end up confusing and disorienting some people, and even help with sneak attacks, as physical attacks won't hurt Darth since he is a ghost, and so seemingly the only way to block anything or to basically fight him is with spiritual power, or be a spirit type character, or use spirit arts like Percival, and perhaps Chion might be able to actually fight the ghost. Perhaps. I'm guessing on this last part with spirit arts, but since Percival is technically a life spirit, that does track. And with that, Gareth and Darth are both on the move. Gareth tries to slash Percival with a barrage of strikes, as now Gareth is a lot faster and stronger than he was acting before, as he's fully locked into the fight. No more holding back, he realizes that Percival is definitely a threat. Now during this clash, we get Gareth's backstory as he tells us to Percival. saying, "While you people were living it up outside without a care in the world, we lived a hopeless life in this hellish place. He died protecting me, and even after death, he's still trying to guard me, and for his sake, I'm going to live and get the hell out of this cauldron." And while we don't get a full panel of this showcasing the entirety of the events, it seems like while they were young in the cauldron, Gareth's brother Darth was essentially died protecting him from the monster that we see in this panel. And so after that, Gareth gained the ability to conjure the dead and allows his brother to fight alongside him. And so, yeah, they definitely been through a hell of a lot. And the fact that they were raised in the cauldron, which is literally like a prison and a hellscape to an extent, does definitely show why he wants to get the hell out of here. And this definitely showcases why Gareth just unloaded on Percival the night before, not really understanding what Percival was truly meaning to say while acting all happy-go-lucky. Which, obviously, who would? If you grew up like that, you'd assume anybody being all jovial and stuff like that would have had it easier compared to you after you literally watched your own brother die protecting you. So, I don't blame Gareth for assuming stuff at this instance. But with the announcer stating that it seems Percival doesn't have the ability to stage a counterattack with all the barrage of blows that Gareth is going for, look, we all know that Percival's kind of holding back as he's not trying to kill him, and Percival is definitely just kind of going about nonchalant with all this. Beltrop actually ends up stating something very interesting, that it's Gareth's blade that's the real menace in this situation. And Percival notices something as Darth is appearing behind Percival with a pretty cocky smile, stabbing Percival in the back. The same thing that happened to Edlin. And when this happens, Beltrop states that its nature is not the same as mine, but his sword can also kill in an instant, as Percival falls to the ground. As Percival ended up getting hit with the same sword that hit Edlin in the preliminary rounds. Now, I like Beltrop stating this, showcasing that the sword that Darth has is incredibly, dangerous. Especially considering that Beltrop said his sword is dangerous and can kill in an instant, as we saw at the start of the time skip that happened with Gother. He was able to split a freaking dimension. And the fact that he's giving props to somebody else's sword, saying that it can kill in an instant like his, but it works very differently, showcases how dangerous that sword actually is, but while also propping up Beltrop's sword as well. And I really like that. And everyone is reacting to Percival falling to the ground, wondering what the heck just happened. Is he alright? How did he fall forward, or did he lose the first round? You can lose the first round right off the bat, as Percival is down with seemingly the life out of his eyes, as seemingly Percival is, kind of dead again. And we then get the explanation that the name of this sword that Darth holds is called Soul Free, and it chops the tail off the soul that clings to a physical body, stating that the soul attached to the body, it resembles an umbilical cord, so he calls it a tail. So yeah, just chalk it up to bad luck. It's also my beloved brother can survive and make it out of here. Now, this is really interesting. We actually get to see a representation of souls and stuff like that, and the fact that this can literally sever anybody's soul from their body. And that's what happened to Edlin. It's not that he was just killed in an instant, but this literally showcases how not just Darth was able to just react to Edlin's spirit, but also showcases how he was able to kill him in an instant without any blood or anything. That is an incredibly powerful blade that manages to stab you, and that is instant death. That is overpowered. As Percival's lying on the ground, Gareth thinks what Percival said the night before about after all the business is done, Gareth can basically leave with them. But Gareth turns around, facing Beltrop, as Darth says, "Hey, does this mean that we won?" An is definitely reacting as anybody would react, basically worrying for Percival, but Nazian stops her, telling her to wait. As the ref ends up taking a look, stating, "I cannot make that call yet," as Percival's legs are up in the air as he is standing on his hands, as he jumps up and stands himself back up right in front of Darth and Gareth. And he says, well, I sure understand why you two want to win the Gladiator Festival now. As wondering, wait, what the heck happened? You shouldn't even be able to reattach your soul. It can't happen that easily. You can't do it yourselves. What in the world are you? And while based off of the rules of that sword, Gareth was up against Percival, which was Gareth's bad luck, because Percival is a life spirit, and this isn't the first time his soul basically is gone from his body. And since Percival was able to return of his own will, his soul getting separated doesn't really mean much, because once that happens, he can just plop right back into his body like before, unless his body is absolutely decimated. That might be a way to take out Percival for good. As far as I can guess. But yeah, bad matchup, bad luck. Went against somebody that they wouldn't be able to be with their usual methods. But Percival says swear to Gareth's face. But I'm not about to sit here and let myself be beaten either. As he points to Gareth, saying sorry about that. As in a singular page, we see a very foreboding and nearly demonic looking look on Percival's face as he chants the spell Nadula Gimala, the exact same thing he stated and did to Worldane during the Fairy Realm arc. As in the next page, we see Gareth floating in an empty black void. As now everyone's wondering what's going on. Nazians recognizes that this is what Percival did to Worldane, and Dareth's wondering what's going on with Gareth. What did you do to my brother? As you look at Percival's face, completely darked out with a dark shadow and glowing eyes, saying, I thought this would be a faster approach to defeating both of you. If Gareth dies, then you will disappear too. Released from his magic force. And my god, this is incredibly menacing for Percival, as he's literally seemingly going in for the kill in this instance, or is at least scaring Gareth to an absurd degree. As in subsequent panels, we see Gareth being aged up and decayed in real time, stating, I don't want to die. I want to live. And not just that, he wants to live his brother's share too, as Gareth is seemingly turned into a skeleton, completely composed and shattered in this void, with the dark, eerie image of a skeletized giant Percival looking like the vestige of death hovering over him. And my god, this is one of the coldest looking panels in the entirety of the series. We called Lancelot a god of war with how great he is at combat and his combat skills and all that. Percival, now in post-time skip, he is 100% the god of death. He is the Knight of Death. He is personifying this in an instant with his life spirit abilities, seemingly in an instance, or at least mentally, killing Gareth in order to get the win. And I don't know if Percival is literally just doing this as a quick bluff for a surrender, or if he's legitimately trying to kill Gareth because he has no choice but to make it through this tournament to fulfill his goals without any real setbacks. I don't know. I can't tell with that image. And let me just say, to the people in comments ever since Percival's return, is like, Percival might not be the same. With this instance, I kind of agree. He's definitely not the same person as he was before, despite all the evidence suggesting otherwise. Percival is just fully going into the Knight of Death aspect of his character, and he's seemingly living up to it. But this does give me concerns if we will fully see Percival become Despair Percival like we saw during the Leonis arc, because this might be Nakaba teasing us that Percival, if he loses it again, he might have relative control, but he won't be easily snapped out of things maybe, and this makes me nervous to see how things go, because my god, was this just horrific image of this guy literally dying incredibly quickly within seconds, decomposing as just stating that he wants to live for him and his brother's sake. That is just fucking brutal. My god. Now, back in the physical plane, Darth is panicking and telling Percival to stop and not to kill him, saying that he's gonna give up and that they forfeit the match. Now the dichotomy of Donnie just cheering that Percival won, not sure what happened, but with An and Nazian looking on just like, what did he just do or was trying to do, with an image of Percival's back not showing his facial reaction. Like I was saying just a second ago, this is incredibly foreboding, and I am incredibly nervous to see what's going to happen with Percival. Darth is obviously happy that Gareth seems to be fine, as Gareth says, I'm sorry, and Darth says not to worry about it, as Gareth just plops onto the ground, phasing through Darth's arms, as he's seemingly unconscious now. Now, what fully happened, I got no idea, but this might have been just some genjutsu, or maybe Percival was actually trying to mentally kill the guy in order to get the win and stop the ghost match. But with that, it's official. Percival won the first fight of Block A, and now he moves on to the next round, with the final panel of this chapter being Beltrop being like, what an oddly fascinating man, capable of rejecting death out of hand, or is he himself death? Ending the chapter. Yeah, I'm incredibly nervous for what's going to happen for the future, because maybe my predictions on maybe Tristan going berserk or just going dark at the end of this arc, if he fights Percival, might be different. Maybe Percival will just go ballistic and dark, and maybe Tristan will have to snap him out of it, which would mirror their first encounter, which I would actually kind of like. But either way, the fact that even Beltrop is like, perhaps he's death himself, being able to do all that in this recent arc, in this recent fight. And for all we know, Botra might have picked up on the fact that this is the Night of Death for the Four Knights of the Apocalypse, Percival. He might have picked up on it, but just wants to see what else is happening. If he reveals that he knows that the three of the Four Knights are there, and just letting this go on just for fun and shits and giggles, and then to take him out himself, I wouldn't be surprised. But either way, this was an intense chapter. Not only was this fight, while short, fun to see, we got to see Gareth and Dareth's whole backstory, their whole deal, how Darth took out Edlin and bypassed Hauser's tornado, how the sword works, how the fact that this is how Gareth was able to make it to the finals in the previous festival, the previous tournament, and Percival's whole incredibly chilling death god type aspect that we just got in this chapter, which, oh man, a lot's going through my mind with this. I don't know if I'm going to make a full video on it at some point, but my god, I want to. Let me know in the comments. I might just make a just face cam, barely edited discussion, just giving my thoughts on Percival in the future. Just let me know if you want to see that and talk with me in the comments. But yeah, this was a crazy chapter, and I cannot wait to see what happens next. The next fight is going to be Donnie versus Mystery Package, so I expect that to be relatively quick. And then we got on to Nazian's fights, and then we'll move on to Block B, and I'm excited to see how this total tournament's turning out. So far, very strong start, getting Percival's stuff out of the way. Now I'm hyped to see everybody else fight. But yeah, what did you guys think of this chapter? Leave your thoughts, opinions, and theories in the comments section down below. And if you haven't already, like and subscribe and hit the notification bell for updates on future videos. Really helps and ensures you guys enjoy the content I make here on the channel and shows you want to see. And with all that said and done, I hope you all have an awesome day.